So they say that the people who attend the first session of any of such conferences are the ones who are usually the most interested. So we're going to consider that that's the crowd that we have here. What we will try and discuss is how these guys, right, ladies and gentlemen both, are disrupting their particular categories. What are they doing? What are their personal challenges? The way they have created opportunities? What are they seeing in the ecosystem? That's what we'll focus. And they've all agreed on being okay to answer some difficult questions, because everybody discusses successes, but we'll also discuss some failures today, right? So that's the context that we wanted to set, and we all agreed on it, right? Yes. Yeah, okay. All right. So let's start with you first, right? What I want all of you all to do is give us a sense of how your business, just to set context, right? How your business is disrupting your category, right? And what are you doing special in that area, right? So we just quickly, so that everybody gets a sense of what you guys do and how you guys disrupting the market today. Let's go with you. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, it's an honor to be sitting with such accomplished minds. And thank you so much for the opportunity, India Television. So my name is Pushkar Jain. I run Sawai Fragrances, and our brand is called Perfumes. It's a family-run business since the past 70 years. Always, when you speak about perfumes, there was not India that used to come in mind. There was many of the Western countries that were said to be the manufacturers for fragrances. But we are disrupting the market with fragrances from India that are going to the West and becoming Indian manufacturers that are selling fragrances outside our country with the top quality natural resources that are available at our country. So that has been the main USP for Sawai Fragrances for a very long time, with the promise of international quality fragrances at affordable prices. And that's what SA stands for. That's what we are doing right now.
Right, thanks. Tarun, same question to you.
Yeah, thanks. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tarun Joshi. I'm the founder and CEO of IGP, which is International Gifts Platform. We started our journey in 2016. There was one simple objective. I belong to a small town in Rajasthan called Churu, and I've for 20 years stayed away. And I miss celebrating festivals. I miss important moments in the life of a lot of my family members, whether it is their birthdays, anniversaries, a lot of festivals we are not able to go back home. And that's when we started thinking that while the whole e-commerce industry is picking up so in such a big way, but one core thing which is important to all of us as Indians is we celebrate almost about 14 festivals, whether it's a Lodi Pongal to a Christmas New Year, and the bigger ones being Rakhi, Diwali, Mother's Day, Father's Day, international festivals picking up. So overall, if you see, there is an industry which is 5 billion purchases being made. That's like 500 crore purchases. So a country with 100 crore population, which actually has a willingness to spend money, they are at least celebrating about 5 festivals in a year. And why there is no single platform, which is a go-to retailer where you can actually go and that can help you celebrate these. So that was our starting point. Now within that, another important thing that came out was that a lot of us are migrated individuals, right? We stay far away. So it's not only celebrating at your own house, but how can I send and make my family members happy? And that's where we started International Gifts Platform. Today we are a company with 2,500 plus people. We have 100 warehouses. We send gifts and products to almost 150 countries globally. So that's been the journey of 8 years.
Right, thanks Tarun. Okay, Ramya, over to you. What are you doing to disrupt your market?
Thanks, Hari. I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Ramya Ramachandran. I'm the founder of Whoppl. What we primarily do in Whoppl is 3 things which help your brand sell better on social media platforms. So number 1 being content. We build brand narratives. We build what's required for you, your brand to stand out. The second one being creators. Today we are doing so much influencer marketing, creator marketing, etc. So that's my second vertical. The third one is commerce. Now, when there is a brand, there is always some sort of customer loyalty which you have to build for your brand over the period of time. So that's exactly what we help brands with. We create those nudges for brands. We create, and like he said, there are so many festivals in India. There are so many things, like India is such a beautiful, rich country for celebrations. How do we create these nudges for brands so that they stand out? And there are more options, more reasons for brands to be as a top of mind awareness and also part of the conversion funnel. So that's primarily what we do. We are 4.5 years old into the company. A bunch of segments. We cater to FMCG, fashion, retail, edutech, martech. We have about 100 plus brands on our portfolio. And we are just growing. So
Sure.
Thank you.
Great. And over to you, ma'am. What about you? What are you doing to disrupt your market?
Hi, good morning, namaste. I'm Priya from Chalo. I want to ask you one question. How many people take buses here? Only 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people take buses.
The
School
question
days.
is, how many people take buses?
How many people have taken best buses or are taking best buses? Yeah, 25. I'm really happy, really happy that you guys are taking buses. Have you seen the airport shuttle recently? That's what I do. We are transport technology company called Chalo Mobility, and we are solving the real life masses problem in India, which is called digitizing the buses and live tracking, because and people who are not taking the buses, they know why they are not taking. And there are 2 reasons: that they don't know where the bus is, and when it will come. There is only one industry in India जहाँ पे छुट्टा चलता है, तो और पैसे लेके आजकल कोई चलना नहीं चाहता है, specifically कोविड के बाद. I'm assuming that everybody know Hindi. So second thing, we built a company called carwale.com. It was more established brand, and we exited like 5 years ago. And while building Carwale, we realized that cars are not the answer for this country. So we started thinking, and there was an article in Uber about Uber taking over Ford's cell in 2015, and we were sitting in Carwale office discussing कि यार next क्या है. And we realized कि जिस तरह का हमारा देश है उसमें cars तो काम नहीं करेंगी, तो क्या कर सकते हैं. और हम काफ़ी passionate हैं. The entire founding team is very passionate about wheels. So don't ask about my love for cars because it's going to be disrupting with the buses. So we thought that we will solve the public transport, and now we are established in 51 cities in India. We live track around 18,000 buses. Recent success stories in Bombay. A lot of innovations to get consumers, aam janta and khas janta like you in the buses so that we can solve the problem. It feels, every day it feels more when today morning I was traveling from Seawoods. It took like more than 2 hours. इतनी देर में इससे जल्दी मैं दिल्ली और बैंगलोर पहुंच जाती. So we solved international, we solved intercity, we haven't solved intracity commute, which is what our focus is. And as you ask more, I'll tell more.
Fantastic, fantastic. So let's hear it up for all of them right now. We have a very interesting context set. So we have perfumes, we have gifting, we have creators and commerce solution, and we have mobility issue being solved here. Very, very interesting. Right, Tarun, I'm going to start with you. Right, let's talk about giving competition sleepless nights. Right, the market is changing, market is evolving. Right, we are saying the users are changing. There is a new Bharat, there is a new era that's coming through. Everybody's talking about that. What is IGP doing to create sleepless nights for its competition? What is that one Brahmastra that you all have?
So that one Brahmastra is, because you are also in the world of disruption now, think 10x. When you think about a superior quality experience, a superior quality product, for the problem that a consumer is coming to you to be solved, we cannot think incremental betterment of that product or service. We just have to basically say that we are going to be 10x better. And that 10x better will then drive loyalty, will drive your margins. There are consumers who are willing to pay, but provided they are getting that kind of quality service and product. So I think our mantra has always been, we think always like, how can we be 10x better?
So scaling up is really, so thinking, when you, the thought stage itself, it is scaled up, or do you think the thought comes in and then whatever works, you then go about scaling that up?
So I'll give an example of one of the categories which were our first category,
That's
right?
great,
Flowers. We saw that essentially flowers were a roadside product or a puja consumed product in India. And other than that, people would just consume flowers for weddings. Now, when you start looking at it, a lot of businesses were built on aggregator model. You come on my platform, I will connect you to the nearest florist. But the problem is if the nearest florist is a roadside seller, he will not have access to great quality product. His delivery ecosystem will not be as strong. His packaging material to the kind of experience that he's giving is not that great. So you take the extreme hard way. So what we did is we basically went back to growers. And when we went back to growers, we told them, why are you only growing 4 varieties in India? When globally there are like hundreds of varieties. Today we have transformed that to saying 82 varieties of flowers are grown. We buy almost about 10 crore stems in a year, which makes us the largest organized buyers. We run our own logistics network, which moves from the down south to the west to east and north, right, with cold trucks, which is a completely cold chain solution. It goes into our factories. It works over there. Flower bouquets are made over there and finally delivered by our own guys. It's a very tough work. You start questioning a lot of those things, but that's what I mean by saying think 10x.
Oh, that's brilliant. So what you're doing is not only creating sleepless nights for competition, but also for the aggregators in the middle, right? So you're two enemies to fight, right? Let's go to you, ma'am. Chalo, because I mean it's very interesting what you're doing. For you there is also a government ecosystem that is on one side. And then you're creating something which kind of takes that along, and you're controlling the data and then, trying to tell the consumer that, hey, you know what? It's run by somebody else. I have absolutely no power on how that's being run, but I'm going to make something interesting for you. So let's talk about that.
So, one is the statement which you made that we control. I think even if 25, 30 companies like Chalo stand up tomorrow morning in this country, this industry is so disrupted and complex and unsolved that all 25 companies can be in one ecosystem and they can contribute to the same problem which we have picked, because we have a statement inside office that car wale was bird and this is elephant, because every day there is a new problem and this industry is like vast and so many issues with the transportation in India, and it doesn't count in top 10 problems in this country. So one thing. Second is government angle. When you work with government, I am sure you guys have opinions about government, and I respect that, but I worked for government for 10 years before Carwale, and worked outside government and sitting inside government and reporting to commissioners and bureaucrats. I think they are one of the best minds in this country. And most of you might be entrepreneurs and businessmen. A small company of 300, 500,000 people, how it's difficult to run and manage the culture, fire people, and manage the product and everything. So if somebody is running this country, you should know that what they know. So one thing is you should know that government knows more than you. And second thing is the kind of people we work, they are very progressive. So we choose our partners. When we started in Bombay, you know that when you're working, which is the officer you want to work with. And you shortlist those officers because you need to make this success. Third is your product. When it comes to brand and credibility, your product should speak first. And second is the constant innovation. when it comes to competition. But you need competition so that people can come and apply and fair thing can happen, but it's not there. So constant innovation, constant problem-solving approach, constantly knowing your consumer first, that what they want. So the entire marketing strategy
Sure.
is based on design rather than, it's based on empathy and ideate.
Well
That's
said.
what the approach.
Well said, ma'am. Well said. Pushkar, I'm going to come to you, right? In this new market economy, people are speaking about that when first movers come in, they tend to be the winners. And then they speak about people who are agile with their marketing. They are the ones who are winners. For you, what is the strategy? Is it great product? Or is it great product but being extremely agile? Or do you think it's about speed to market? What, according to you, is the winning formula in the current market?
Hari, I'll take that answer. I'll give you the answer from my heart. As a founder, first of all, I'll start with. We, as founders, when we start a brand, we focus on our product USPs. हमारा product ऐसा होना चाहिए, हमारे product में ये delivery होनी चाहिए. We just focus on the product. I wish someone was there when I started SA Perfumes, just to get a hold of me and shake me, Boss, तेरे को बेचना कैसे है, पहले तू समझ ले. So the main important thing that a brand owner should know is distribution also. Not just your product. After a point, you should focus on your distribution. That is one core important thing for the brand. Second, I would say, your brand philosophy, the brand guidelines, they should resonate with your product in every way. They should just connect to your TG so that they just are attracted towards you. They want to try you out. There is one line where we all marketers, we live by it. Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. I would just tweak it a little bit. You guys must have heard of it. Jo zyada dikhta hai, wo zyada bikta hai.
Right.
So, in SA Perfumes, we did a very small thing because perfume being such a cluttered category in India, we just put SA at the forefront of our packaging. And when you stack up the products together, the SA brand looks seamless. So that was a very small creative approach on our product packaging, which you will attain, getting more visibility by not spending heavily on market advertising and VMs, So that is one small thing that we adapted and we are continuously adapting it. The third thing I would say for a brand that is just starting up for innovation is collaboration. But not just collaboration with any other brand or any company, with collaboration of brand that have a similar ethos, with similar USPs, similar core values. For example, like we just did with SA and the Mercy for Animal Foundations, we did a charity fundraiser where we got a good visibility for the brand and because it fit with our ethos.
Sure, fair enough. Ramya, I'm going to come to you. Now that we're done with the product guys, right? So I'm sure a lot of the old economy brands and the new economy brands come to you for services and solutions. How do you think it has changed? What has been the change in that trajectory? How have their needs changed? And how have the solutions changed for these new economy, old economy brands for the audience, which is the new Bharat, right? How has that changed?
Sure. So I feel today when we are talking consumers are very evolved. With the rise of smartphones, with the rise of technology, a consumer is smart and very well informed about what are the brands, what is the brand doing for me, what is the positioning the brand has, because today it's no longer about what the brand stands for. It is more to do what is the need it is solving for me. Why should I look at this brand? Is it communicating to me in a way I understand? There's so much clutter, right? Today, we are exposed to so many things. Like you said, old economy and new economy. There are so many D2C brands which are doing, like he said, jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. I feel there is so many brands within the same segment, within the same category, doing multiple things. So whenever we talk about what a brand is, so we always craft strategies in such a way that what does your brand, what is the ethos of your brand, and how do you want to tap your customer, right? What does your customer need? So it should be more to do with how, what is the challenge what is the problem you're solving for your consumer? And what language do they understand? That's very quintessential for any brand building. And today with so much hyper-local customization, personalization, regional marketing, it's become the need of the hour to speak the language what everyone understands. So whenever we craft strategies, it's mostly to do with how are we targeting this segment. If we have to talk to, say, a very local segment, then how are we, what is that we are addressing?
Sure.
So our approach is usually very insight-driven. And because we are a creative agency, then how do we marry the insights plus what the consumer wants in a very relatable manner? Because today relatability is everything. If content is king, then I feel relatable content is the queen today. You want to relate to what the brand is talking, and that's when there is a connect. There's an instant connect. And you have to constantly build that. It's not a one-time sprint. It's a marathon which brands have to run with the entire consumer journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well said. Startups, new markets, innovation is right on top, right? Everybody's talking about innovating. And I think there's a tremendous pressure on companies to innovate constantly. Tarun, this question is to you, right? Is it about constant innovation? Or is it about cracking innovation and then doing it consistently over a period of time every day? Should entrepreneurs carry that pressure of innovating every day, or should it be a lot to do with innovate once, be consistent, and then maybe relook after some time?
Good question, and I think that's a constant debate, especially startups who don't have as much amount of capital to, how do you allocate resources, right? Should I put everybody to start doing like breakthrough rocket science stuff, or should they basically do their job well or just incrementally look at it? One success mantra that we have cracked well is, you have to be ahead of the curve. You need to innovate, whether it is in terms of your product or whether it is in terms of your service, or if technology is an enabler, then in terms of technology. Because everything is just changing so fast. So life cycle of every single product, service or technology has reduced to like 2.5 years compared to what it used to be about 5 years. What we do well is, I personally do not look at business as usual. I'm always thinking for that next breakthrough opportunity that the organization can have, which will deliver not the next month growth or the next quarter growth, but actually will drive the next big thing for the next year. And the second layer management team, right, which is again equally passionate, are basically looking at how can we grow incrementally into our respective areas by 10% month on month. I think that works. What happens is a lot of discipline gets created because I have a longer time cycle to deliver what I'm working on, but it also needs to have an equally strong business impact with that innovation.
So you kind of have a fine balance between the innovation and the vision, and then doing it repeatedly, but just split between two different sets, right? Okay,
I'll give an example maybe for audience to relate to it. So we used to use a lot of external delivery partners, and we realized that we are in a business of gifting where consumers have very atrangi demands. I have just left, can you wait, right? Can you bring it to my office? I did not go to office, can you bring it to my home? You cannot say no to these. Now, this is a problem which not only has cost implications, but actually is not available as a service by any single delivery company in the country. But when you weigh on this, you start looking at it, am I in a position to hire 1,000 riders on my roles, right? If there is no solution, but what it can do. And again, that question happens that if I do this right, will that become an extremely strong sticky point that my consumer will say that this company is 10x better than my expectations?
Absolutely.
Right? And that's an area where you then start focusing, and I personally get involved into that level of innovation, even when it comes to service standards.
And I'm so glad Tarun you touched on consumers and customers, and we're going to talk about that, right? I'm sure one of the biggest issue that most entrepreneurs face today is how do you manage customer loyalty? You know, in these times of coupon codes and discounts and swiping left and right, how do you really manage to keep them loyal so they keep coming to you again and again without you having to pay them to come to you, right? So, right, how do you do that? It's an open question. Anybody can take it. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Sure.
I'm going to relate what Tarunji just said. He said it very finely, and I really appreciate that. I feel as brands and as a country who has so many brands, we soon will be turning towards a hospitality economy, you know. We will soon be turning into brands who are providing experience for the consumer in whatever you are in a service category or a product category. So that will weigh utmost importance for your consumer loyalty. And I completely agree with what Tarunji said, and I think that answers most of your point. For getting more loyalty, you have to be very hospitable to your consumer and provide a great experience to them.
Correct. What will be interesting to understand is how can you be hospitable to consumers and customers at scale, right? Great to do it one-on-one, you know, but how do you do it at scale? You know, yeah, sure, please.
So 2-3 things. One is that you need to understand consumers' pain point, that what their daily problem is, especially the kind of work we do. And second is you give them customized solution. Like in Bombay, we run like around 71 kind of cards, offers, mobile passes, so that you can cater to everyone. Whoever wants to travel for half a day, they can travel. If somebody wants 90 days pass, you can give them. So that kind of flexibility, you can speak with your stakeholders and you can design them, and government is very, very progressive, as I said. But second thing is you have to also see the regional implication. When I work with Madhya Pradesh, I know where the problem points is. They might not need passes, but they need student passes more. And then they need more buses in different routes. So you need to study market really, really hard, and then you design entire, you have to grab the opportunity where the gaps are, and then you cater to them, and then you build the credibility, because if you are giving something to them which nobody is giving, and for example, we started this feature, small feature called live passenger indicator, because we realized at one point of time that people don't take buses because the bus comes and it is crowded. So we gave them that how crowded your bus is. So they can see that this bus is crowded and next bus is coming which is comparatively, empty, and they can take the buses or the tap in, tap out. So these are the things which you keep doing, keep innovating things, and keep giving them something or the new wherein they feel that, okay, it is made for me and they're solving my problem.
Right. You know, another, you want to add on? Yeah, okay.
So this is a very interesting question actually, because one of our brands came to us and they were like, how do we change the consumer perspective? People think that we are a very upmarket store, which is actually not the case. People wouldn't enter the store, so that's a legitimate problem, right? Now, how do you solve that? Because it's something to do with mindset, it's something to do with perception. So I feel the answer to that is also that you need to understand what are your problems, what are your challenges, and then how do we go in a stepwise manner to actually address the issue and give solutions in such a way that it actually, say, increases footfalls. It actually changes the perception, and perception building and changing is also a long process.
Sure.
So for this, what we did was then we spoke about the price points, because I feel in India we always look for value for money in everything we do. So how do we build that narrative? By telling there are, there are cost-effective things which are available at the store. And we did a bunch of activations within the store to get more footfalls. So having solved one problem, the second one is how do you get people to come back to you for more? So I feel it's very important to understand what the problem is and have very targeted strategic solution, because it's not one theory for all. You have to try, test, it works, it doesn't work. You have to keep doing consistently and then arrive at something and then replicate something that works for you.
Sure.
Hari, sorry,
Yeah.
one
No, go for
point
it,
which
go for it.
missed in this is, I think we didn't touch upon data. To understand consumer loyalty, I think as organizations, if you are closer to your data and as close as possible, and then do a lot of permutation combinations with the data and then try and drive insights, is super crucial now. I'll give an example, which probably is a little funny example, but I would always be very intrigued. I saw the data for 2 years that the lowest repeat rates for our consumers were on Valentine's Day. So,
Breakup.
and when so let me explain, right? So we did all sorts of cohorts, and why does a consumer, let's give them offers, let's give them everything that they need to basically order on Valentine's Day. Still, no numbers increase next year. So I decided to speak to, let's say, about 1,000 consumers myself. And I said, let me just talk to all of them and try and understand. There were 3 aspects which came out, right? Which, by the way, there was only a dip in that month. And next month onwards, they would basically again start doing stuff. So the first thing that happened answer was, who gives a Valentine's Day gift every year? Ek bar de diya. Right? Now, it's a behavioral thing, right? Which, as a company, you just cannot change. The second thing was, ab to shaadi ho gayi. Right? Which is, again, you would assume basis data that, okay, so what, it's like your first anniversary, you would still give a Valentine's Day gift, but no, the significance of that event, right, had a lot more behavior component. And the third, as you rightly said, up to breakup ho gaya, and therefore, basically, the person is still finding into a relationship, right? But I think you start going through data, and data will give you a lot of insights, but at scale, it reduces the funnel to those 1 or 2 or 3 things, which then you can get deeper into and take bigger insights, and therefore you solve the problem at scale.
Absolutely, and in the era where we're moving towards a cookieless world, I think the people who are sitting on native data are probably going to be mining a lot as time goes by, right? I think the next place that I want to go to is personal branding. If you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, right, they're all building personal brands. I think they're doing it to get a ticket to Shark Tank, but that's a different conversation. How important do you think is it to build personal brands or people right on top? And do you think it eventually matters to the customer that, I know what the person I know about the person who runs this company, I consume their content, I relate with them, and hence I'll probably be a little more loyal, or do you think it increases mind space? For the first question, are you guys active on any of the social platforms? Do you invest that time in building personal brands?
Yes, I think digitally native brands, startups, and the point earlier came out about relatability of the content. I think it's also about relatability of the brand via the persona. And in today's world, a founder cannot stay away, right, from basically being the face of the brand. It's very important. People find you relatable. People think that it's my new age mom and pop close by store which I can trust. So trust building comes from face, and founders cannot stay away. I get massive number of messages on my LinkedIn. I take out time and personally respond to each one of those. Right? I always put a team together to do that. But it is that personal initiative, right, which is going to take new age brands to the Bharat and to the next phase of growth.
Sure, absolutely, yes.
I think staying relevant and authentic to your teams, and it's a very underrated aspect of building an organization wherein you create authentic leadership at a top level and you stay authentic to your people with whom you are building this organization. First of all, they build you. They talk about you. Then the people you interact with when you go out, they perceive you in a certain fashion. Third is the kind of work you do. is very, very important that you should, somebody just called me, call in the morning, one of my colleagues that, oh, we have got a newspaper article in the morning and they have quoted the number we have signed Kerala. And this guy was saying that they have mentioned the quote also. So, and the other person was telling that you should be happy that you are coming in news. And I responded that you should be aware now because you are in the eyes of people and your credibility can be brought in question. So you have to be extremely conscious that how you are building this company on a true self manner, how you are being authentic in most difficult, crucial and critical moments. That's how you build credibility. Second is to be on social media, what you're talking about, what kind of subjects and aspects you're touching is important. You might not be responding to 100 people. I don't do that. I'm lacking in that. But I talk about things which matter because we are working for impact and changing the Bharat in true sense. So I speak about those things. It's not strategic, but it's organic and it is important.
Of course, it's important for the consumer to know you, you're the face of the brand, and help you sell better. It's also very important to hire the right talent. So as founders, your company will grow depending on what type of people you have gathered. So the persona, the digital persona that you should have, I would say it's very important. It definitely hires the right people for you and definitely attracts the right people for you.
Right. We had some questions around talent because I think, in these times when you're hiring the Gen Z, they become the larger workforce. We'll probably open the floor up for some questions. And once that's done, we'll hand it back to the MC. Do you have time for questions?
I think that was very well moderated. Thank you very much for the session. Just wanted to throw a point to the panelists. You'll have come this far, scaling up. How do you get there? Because you're going to go up against the big evil world of large corporations. Does that make you all afraid? And how do you continue building the brand? There are two questions here. Your brands, that you all are building. How do you continue to sustain them and create them further?
I think I'll go first. To sustain in a market which is constantly evolving, there's rise of technology, there's something new we learn every day. The key over here is to have adaptability to change, to see what are the kind of things which are prevalent in the market and how can you as a company solve that problem? How is it going to benefit as a larger ecosystem? I feel constantly changing, adapting, diversifying because with technology you can't be just stuck up to one thing. You have to constantly do different things. You have to try out new things. So I feel like that is something which has to, change is constant. And also one needs to have that adaptability quotient to figure out, okay, what's next? And also understanding the trends and probably forward loading that how can you do this better and how can you get the first mover advantage if you've identified the need gap and then go for it and be best at giving that particular solution. I feel these are like a few things which one can keep in mind.
So Anil, great question. I used to design fighter planes before I became an entrepreneur. When India wanted to launch its first fighter plane, the first answer was if you want a supersonic plane, which has to be agile, you have to be fundamentally unstable, right? Which means in your steady state, you are unstable, and when the engine is on, right, that is when you basically attain stability. What that does is very similar to what startups are. Startups are fundamentally unstable, and that is why they can run extremely fast and extremely agile. Because when they switch on, right, the motor is on and which makes it stable. But because you're fundamentally unstable, you are able to maneuver so well and move extremely fast.
I would just build on that point. As a founder, you're at the center of your organization. And when you have a startup, it's a more flatter structure. So at that point of time, building positivity for your team is very important. So that ripple effect goes towards your consumer. So at that flatter stage, start building the positivity, start building that ripple effect, so that just multiplies multifolds, That is something that I've experienced.
We always call about the शेर that ये इश्क नहीं आसान है बस इतना समझ लीजिए एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है तो founders और entrepreneurship ऐसी ही है और I little bit disagree here because we believe that you hire right people and we follow very structured 40 pages process to hire people, and people have been very vocal about our hiring process because we follow 2 books and 20 hours of training to hire right, because you can't motivate people every day. As you asked that what scares you to take it to next level, you want people with you who are risk takers. You want people, even Gen Zs. There are so many things talking, and I have 2 Gen Zs sitting here because this is the generation which is going to be 75% of Indian population in 2025. So you have to make work with them. You have to keep telling them consistently that how the future looks brighter in India because you are the generation. So it is important to take them along and hire those kind of people who can take you to the next level and the brand.
Thank you, panelists, for being a part of this. It's great discussing product. It was great discussing innovation, the need to stay consistent, right? It's very, very interesting for all of us to hear. Let's hear it for the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.